right, so really happy to get this guy, one of the busier guys in the business. Not like we're all busy, but James Hochrine, you have a new opportunity so you're going to be going back home soon. So I'm sort of moved you to the front of the lines because I don't know if you'd call me back once you get to Southern California.
I would, Monte. I'd call you back.
So first of all, congratulations on the new opportunity at El Caballero. And how far away is that from where you kind of grew up anyways?
I actually grew up in Arizona.
Arizona,
I was an Arizona boy through and through. And I spent some time in Carlsbad at La Costa Resort and Spa. So that was my stint in Southern California. Mm-hmm. My wife, we always had this dream of going back to Southern California if we could. That opportunity presented itself. So as sad as it is to say goodbye to the Pacific Northwest and all the great professionals, mentors, clubs, people, we are going to just take the plunge and jump into this deep end, if you will, to the next chapter in life. So we're excited about it, though. That's for sure. Yeah.
And you have your two daughters. They're at the age where this will probably be a memory. They may not have remembered some of the moves prior to now, but I bet this will be a memory in their life.
Totally. It's Charleston and Sutton. Charleston's 8 now, and Sutton's 6. And so that was part of the timing of in those types of things was when the opportunity presented itself. It's like, is this the time or do we wait and hang tight? And we just felt it was the best family move we can make is right now. Like I said, it's bittersweet. It's an amazing club, an amazing group of people and section and professionals that I've been to work alongside and with. And I'm going to miss it in a lot of ways. So hopefully you guys don't shun me off to the corner and I can't ever come back, because there's a little bit of me here for sure in the Pacific Northwest that I'll always love and relationships. So
let's get to that soon. But I do want to ask you a little bit about, so you grew up in Arizona. Yeah. Who was the first person that sort of handed you a golf club? Or did you just find it yourself? Sort of like just honestly, I love to hear these kind of stories.
Yeah, that's a good question. First person to hand me a golf club was actually myself. My family played golf, and I wanted to learn. And so I picked up a club and started just swinging with it. And then I set them down quickly because I couldn't figure it out, and other sports took priority. And my parents were school teachers. So when I looked at them and said, I want to play in a tournament or go, for $100 greens fee in Arizona, they laughed and was like, no, you're not. So I quickly got away from that. But it came back to me. So Todd Shapiro was a friend of mine, and Nick Carlson, who's a PGA professional now as well. We're both on the high school team. And I was hanging out with them and got injured playing tennis. And we're like, come out and play golf, chip and putt. And I said, okay, I can putt. So I went out and was putting with them and hanging out at the golf course, and just naturally just wanting to compete was a big part of it, right? And so I just kept trying to want to beat them. And at the time, Todd Shapiro was, I think he was top 10 in the world for junior golfers at that time. And so he could play, and his dad played on tour. So I picked up the game and started playing with him, and just was a great group of guys in high school. It was actually my senior year of high school. So, and picked up the sport, and to pay for it, I worked in the industry. And so I picked the range to be able to hit range balls. And then a golf professional there introduced me to just the industry. And I happened to open the paper one day, and the ASU PGM program had started. And they had an article about golf pros and becoming a golf professional and going to school. I took it to my mom and I said, Mom, this is what I want to do. Like, hands down, no questions asked. This is what I want to do, this and that. She looked at me and she said, you're paying for it. I'm not going to pay for it.
Wow.
And if you want to go and do it, she always thought it'd be like an architect or something. Mathematics come easy to me. And so she always was like, no, I'm not going to pay for it. So I took out loans and did it myself. And she even says it to this day. She looks back on it. She goes, golf has been really good to you. And I said, yes, it has. And she's great. She looks at it now. I just think it was hard for a school teacher to understand going to school to become a golf professional, right? She's like, what is this about, now she looks at it and I've been fortunate to travel the world to play golf and with members and meet people, and the connections and the life experiences because of this industry are just phenomenal. So it's been cool. Good.
I didn't realize that you picked the game up that late. I picked it up when I was like 14 3/4, and you picked it up after me. I mean, that's amazing. The similarity in the terms of the individual sport of tennis, and then obviously the sort of face control of a tennis racket, like that probably related in some ways to.
It did. I remember when it finally popped. I had a Scholastic Swing Magic. Remember that swing tool that would separate at the top? Oh yeah, up here at the top, and then it'd come back. And it was like my cure to the over the top, right? I think everybody understands when they finally get the club in the right spot. And I did it at Bear Creek Golf Club in Chandler, Arizona, and 10th hole, and it was 6:00 at night, and I felt it, and I literally hit every single ball in my bag on that hole over and over and over and over and over and over again, and then went and picked them all up and did it about 7 other times, and it was dark, and my mom was so upset that I came home, and I was like, I found it, and that was the click. So yeah. It was pretty good. And then I got into the industry through the PGA program. You have to do internships. Mm-hmm. So I was fortunate enough to have a couple of different mentors, but one that was really just massive for me as a mentor was I was working at Desert Highlands, which is a great club in northern Arizona, northern Scottsdale, not northern Arizona. Yeah. And I was driving home and I was like, gosh, this traffic's brutal. And I was like, I really want to get into a golf shop. I don't want to just be a bag room guy forever, And there was a lead for Gainey Ranch Golf Club. And I picked up the phone and called and met Jim Murphy. And he's like, how soon can you pop by for an interview? I'm like, actually, I'm on the freeway right now. I'll pull over and go see you. And so I did.
Wow.
And he hired me, and he is just a legend. Murph is known as the mayor, if you will, in somewhat of the Scottsdale world of golf, and just recently got inducted into the Arizona Golf Hall of Fame, and just was an amazing mentor for me. I started as an assistant there and worked my way up at Gainey Ranch Golf Club to head golf professional, eventually replaced him when he went to general manager as director of golf, and had an amazing opportunity to learn from one of the best in the industry. And I think Murph as well from the gathering and some of those types of things.
He's a phenomenal person. Actually, I would say I'm not surprised that he was like, "Hey, when are you available?" And because I would say he's a man of action. He's his energy level. If 10 is full bore, when he's down and sort of running on empty, he's at 8.5.
He is.
Yeah,
that man. That's where I get my coffee fix from. Now I get it. Like at first, I was like, I don't know how this guy can drink like 11 cups of coffee a day. Like this is insane. And now I drink a lot of coffee myself, and I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah. So now Jim is an incredible person, and he has that. He has the gift of somebody like for me, it's Gus Jones, but he has that gift of making you feel like you're a valuable person and you're worth knowing, and he's thrilled that you're there to hang out with him, even though it's completely the opposite for us to be. I can't believe that I'm getting to hang out with Jim Murphy. Like he's that level of a human being.
There's a couple stories if you're all right. I'll just share them. So there's one where, my name, I at that time I went by Jim or Jimmy. Oh, really? And so I was in the golf shop working as Jim Hochrine. And I'd answer the phone, Gainey Ranch Golf Club is Jim. From time to time, people would think I was Jim Murphy. And so I quickly was like, I can't do this. I'm in the fishbowl of the front desk answering phones. And every once in a while, I got to keep saying, I'm not Jim Murphy, I'm Jim. And so instantly it was James. And ever since then, I've been James, and that it's all because of him.
Yeah.
But the one that really sunk in for me is I had a member come in and was irate with me about a frost delay and pace of play, all the stuff we deal with.
Yeah.
And he's giving it to me at the counter, and I'm taking it. Yes, sir. And Murph walks out of his office and he looks across the golf shop and he screams the name, but I'll make up a name, but Tom, come on into my office, and just sternly. And Tom, and walks into his office. Murph closes the door, and it's all glass. And I could see in there, I could see Murph talking to Tom, and I could tell Murph was automated, and he stood up for me. I knew he stood up for me. But at the end of the day, he opens the door, and out comes Tom. They shake each other's hands. Great to chat with you. Great to catch up. And Tom walks over to me at the counter and looks at me and goes, James, I'm really sorry. That was inappropriate. And off they went. And at that moment, I was like, that's what I need to learn from him. Like, I need to learn how to do that, because that was just amazing. And you're right. Murph is just a wonderful human being. The thing that I admired about him so much is he used to do a tournament every year called the Don and Charlie's. And, he easily was so connected in the world of our industry and everything in Scottsdale, but he always made it a point to take us assistants and make us like we were part of it, and introduce us to some of the, these are legends in Arizona, professional golf, and you'd have Elway come play in the tournament. Bones would play in the tournament, and he would rather than introducing all of his friends to Bones and Elway, he would make it a point to grab Elway, bring him to the pro shop, and introduce him to all the assistants and make sure everybody got an opportunity to talk to Elway that worked in the golf shop. And I remember that to this day, and it just is, he just always took the time. And I'll always be grateful. Even to this day, he's a very, very busy man. It's hard to get him on the phone sometimes, but when you do, it's just you and him, and it's so good.
Yeah. The thing I was saying too about him is, Scottsdale's a really tough market because in some ways, because I was actually there last week, it's sort of like Las Vegas, where it's like, it's kind of what's new.
Yeah.
What's new. And you look at places like Gainey Ranch, and you look at Greyhawk and Estancia, but certainly the first two, they have this ability to just seem to last, and they stay current. And I look at that and say, well, how does that happen? And I think it's because you got Jim was there for a long time. I know he's not there now, but he was there for a long time, and he basically, things are in place. And then over at Greyhawk, you got Joe Shershmovich.
Him and Shu together are just two peas in a pod.
Oh yeah, but in terms of like, really, at the end of the day, like I would bet that if you put Jim Murphy at Goat Ranch Golf Course, it'd be on the map. It'd go from being nowhereville to being on the map, because it's the pro that makes. It's the golf professional that makes the place special. And
now he's at Pinnacle Peak, which is just awesome. What a great spot. I'm so happy for him and his career, and kind of wrap it up. It's such a great property. So it's great.
I think that getting back to your comment about you wanted to learn that from him, I know that you have learned that because people say, I think you and I have talked about in certain interview prep things, is like sort of, is the customer or member always right? And the answer is no, if they're out of bounds.
Yeah.
If they're in bounds, then they can be right. But if they're out of bounds, it's the lead professional's role to sort of say, in the case of Jim, hey, Tom, I'm afraid you're out of bounds.
Yep.
I'm sorry. You need to get back in bounds, and then you can be right again. But because you're out of bounds, you need to go set it right with James, because James is my teammate, and you can't treat him like that. And the cool part I'm always amazed at is, when you get to that place, Jim was there, you're there at Tacoma, you'll soon be there at El Cab, and is the ability to, you've got money in the bank with that person. People are like, how can you be so direct with them? It's because I've earned it.
Well, that goes back to kind of some philosophies. I had another mentor, and it was actually through the PGM program. I had a professor, and he viewed relationships as bank accounts. And you use the word bank, and that's what made me remind it, is relationships are bank accounts. And you have to make sure you've made enough deposits to make a withdrawal when it's time to make a withdrawal. And you can never run a bank account into a negative. So you've got to make sure to put deposits in the bank, because at some point you're going to need that hefty withdrawal, and you want to make sure you got enough money in there that you're going to be all right with that relationship. And if it's not, that's when you either need to decide if it's a good relationship to have, or invest in it and make it a positive. So
certainly it's true in marriage, most importantly, but certainly it's true with every single member, because again, I'm sure there was times when you heard Jim say something to a member or a regular and you were like, I can't believe you said that. And he probably said, you better never say that. I can say that because I've got the money in the bank.
Yeah.
And also too, there's a certain amount of trust there. So you went to work for Murph, and then how long was it when you went from being an assistant golf professional to being sort of the lead PGA professional under him as general manager?
So I was head pro when I graduated college, which was 2007. So I hadn't even graduated college, and I remember Kat, who's at Troon Country Club, legendary merchandiser. She taught a merchandising class at PGM, and I went in and talked to her. I was like, hey, I am in your class. I want to learn merchandising. I'm going to try my best, but I just got this head pro job at Caballero Golf Club. She's like, you still have a whole nother semester and a half to go plus of school. And I said, I know, I'm trying my best right now. She's like, look, do what you can, come to class when you can. And even to this day, I so appreciate her. The person that was in that class was Matt Anzalone, who is now works for Blue Hospitality and was an assistant that I worked with at Gainey, and then he took over my spot at Gainey. But he was in that class, and I remember him being so upset. He was like, you never even showed up, and you got an A.
Well, I mean, think about it. You were not in a hypothetical situation. You had an actual merchandising golf shop experience because you were
doing it.
That's way better than you can drive that boat out, and catch a lot of fish, or you could run it aground, so to speak. Like that's the real deal. There's nothing hypothetical about that at all. I actually know Matt from when he was at Invited.
Oh yeah, of course.
Great guy. I know that's one of the things. I saw a picture of you and Murph and Matt when you surprised him. So tell me about how that worked and how much fun that probably was for you and Matt to show up and
so cool.
Have Jim just be annoyed. Probably you guys somehow got one over on him.
So to answer your question, I was 20 years old. First time I was a head golf professional. I couldn't even drink a beer with my members, and I was running the golf operation at Gainey Ranch. It was crazy. But
one of the younger answers I've ever heard.
So Matt was an assistant. So I got the head pro job. Matt became my first assistant. And then eventually I got the director of golf job. And that was 3 years later after I was the head pro. And then Matt moved on to become the head pro underneath me. And then eventually came the director of golf. But Matt and I just were always together. I mean, from a career standpoint at Gainey Ranch. And so when we heard Murph was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was just a no-brainer for us. We had to be there and we had to support him in some way. So I flew out and went to their meeting. That was the first time as a PGA member. I don't know if you all can know, but you can go to several other meetings if you wanted to. You just need to email the AD at the other chapter or sections, then you can go to those meetings. So anyways, I figured all that out so I could go to their meeting and honor Murph. And we actually ran into him in the parking lot, and he was just flabbergasted that we showed up. And he's like,
his reaction, I'm sure better in person, but I know his face well enough. Seeing him react to the first time he reacts when he sees me, like as if it's really a great thing. I'm sure it's not nearly as cool as when he saw you and Matt. That's pretty cool.
It was cool. He's like, parts. That's his thing. He says parts to everybody. Parts. What are you doing here? And I'm like, we're here to honor you, And so it was just great, great moment to catch up. I felt
probably forgot. Like at that point, he literally thought, what are you doing here? Like because he's so unassuming. He's just there to be one of the guys, one of the pros.
Well, in classic Murph fashion, they go up and honor him and gets the standing O when he goes up there to get his Hall of Fame. And all he does is he talks about everybody else. And it's just A+ of the person that he is. And, it was a really cool moment and full circle. And I think it meant a lot to him, and I'm happy I did it. So. It was awesome.
Well worth it, I'm sure. And so when you did you go from Gainey to La Costa? Is that how it progressed?
Yeah, so I was the director of golf, loving life at Gainey, and Murph was the GM. So, I mean, what more could you ask for? I had my mentor that got me all the way to the point of director of golf, and he's my GM. And my wife gets an opportunity to move to San Diego. And she had moved to Arizona for my career, so it was her turn, as I say.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. She got the job. She'd been working on it for like a month to get this job. So I go into Murph's office and I go, "Hey Murph, just want to tell you, Lynn got this job, and I'm going to have to start looking. It's not because I'm not happy here, but I need to move with my wife, and San Diego is kind of where I got to end up, and anything you can do to help me." And he goes, "Well, you got to notify our regional." And another mentor of mine, very strong mentor, amazing person, Jim Oliver. And Jim Oliver at the time was my regional with Invited or Club Corp at the time.
Okay.
And Jim gets on the phone and he's just like, "Oh, just disappointed to hear that. We're gonna miss you." And I'm like, "I'm gonna miss it. And, just wanted to make you aware I'm gonna be interviewing, and it's not because I'm not happy. It's just my wife's got an opportunity."
Sure.
And I thought I'd have to take a step back as like an assistant or something to make this move. He goes, "Oh, let me call you back." He hangs up the phone, calls me back like 10 minutes later. He says, "James, here's this number. You need to call this guy, Paul McCormick. You need to call him, and he's expecting your phone call." I said, "Okay." So I pick up the phone. I call Paul McCormick. He answers the phone. I don't even know where he's at, right? And he's this.
He
Paul
didn't tell you the
McCormick.
facility?
No clue. He goes, "This Paul." This is Paul
I
McCormick.
thought you'd be more nervous or something. So he's like, no.
And he goes, "How fast can you get here?" And I said, "How fast?" I said, I'm in Phoenix. And he goes, "Well, I'm in Carlsbad. I'm at La Costa Resort and Spa, and we're looking for somebody in the golf department here at La Costa. How fast can you be here?" And I said, "I can be there tomorrow." He says, "Great. I'll have a room under your name tonight, and I expect to see you tomorrow morning, and we'll have breakfast at 8 a.m. And I'm like, okay. A lesson learned, I guess, for everybody out there: have a suit ready to go at any point. Yeah. Have a shirt pressed and ready to go at any point. I did not have either. I learned that the hard way. So I run home trying to figure out a suit, a jacket, this and that, and jump on a plane. And I remember Murph. That was the other cool thing just about Murph. I mean, I was doing all right financially, but I wasn't like killing it by means. And Murph was like, "Just buy the plane ticket." I'm like, "Parts, I just paid rent. Like, I don't know if I got, enough to buy plane tickets and a hotel room and a rental car." He's like, "Let's take care of it." And he just did, which was so kind of him. Yeah. But anyway, so I fly out there. I meet with Paul the next day. We walk the property. We talk about La Costa, and he calls me the very next day and says, you ready to take the job as assistant director of golf was my title. And I said, "Sure." My wife was so angry. She worked for an entire month for this position. I make one phone call.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, bang, bang, bong, and I'm at La Costa.
It goes to the thing, too. I know you've seen something that I have put in writing, but you've heard me talk about it you're always interviewing.
Always.
The reality
always.
Is you get Murph and Paul McCormick, not Paul McCormick, but Murph and Jim Oliver.
Yeah.
You'd interviewed well with them every single day for years, and they were the point where they were like, they didn't want to keep you. They knew they couldn't even if they wanted to keep you, they couldn't, because you're going to stay married. I got to go with Lynn. And and they completely understand that. They would do the same thing. So then they were like, "Well, since we can't keep you here, let's figure out a way to sort of bless you and send you off in the best way possible."
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
It was great.
Yeah. And so that's a great story. And I'm sure your wife was kind of happily. She probably, after the sort of shock of how fast it was, she was probably like grateful that it was easy, because then she didn't have to worry and stress about what you could be doing. So you literally started how soon?
I started within like a month, I want to say, after the final interview, but I got the role in about 2 days, which was crazy. Yeah. So
then you went to La Costa, and at that point, you and Lynn didn't have kids?
No kids. We loved it. We lived like rock stars. Oh, it was so good. We lived down in San Diego, loved it. She was in her career, I was in mine. we renovated the Champions Golf Course, which was the North course at the time, and then jumped into renovating the South Golf Course. And KSL owned it, which was a great experience for me. I'm very grateful for all my time in private equity world. Mm-hmm. It taught me so much financially about clubs, how they run, how a P&L works, the different tools you can use to drive it. And I use that to this day, even in the equity side of clubs. Right. Sure. And so I'm very grateful. I remember going into those financial reviews, man, was that a different experience with some private equity people, in a huge hotel that's, making $1 million a month type thing. Yeah. Right. So you got to know your stuff. So I learned a lot there, learned a little bit of capital improvements on the golf course and those types of things, really pushed some membership there as well, which was great. And then I got a phone call from Arcus Golf, which at the time was Desi Howe. And Desi worked for Club Corp and was a regional after Jim. Mm-hmm. And they had spun off with Blake Walker, who was an old Club Corp guy. And they started Arcus Golf. And they said, I know you don't know of somebody, but if you can come up and just check out the property and see if you can identify a good golf professional for us, it would be awesome. And so
this was CSR?
This was the club at Snoqualmie Ridge. At the time, TPC Snoqualmie Ridge. So then I came up to check it out, and I thought I was getting a great little quick getaway with my wife to stay at the Salish Lodge. And so I definitely checked it out. It was more of an interview to some extent as well. But it was kind of casual.
But you didn't know you didn't know it was an interview, particularly. They kind of soft sold it to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then Lynn and I went up there, and at the time Lynn was in between jobs, and she's like, you know what, I think we got to take a gamble on this. This place is gorgeous, and it's been amazing. So went there and was the director of golf. Opened up after they did some renovations, the clubhouse there and those types of things, and really loved the club at Snoqualmie Ridge. And then at the time, I was the director of golf with a superintendent reporting to me, Ryan Gordon, amazing superintendent. If nobody's ever met Ryan, get the opportunity in the Pacific Northwest, meet Ryan. Ryan's deaf, and probably one of the best superintendents in communications, and just not only good at his job, but add the factor of the hearing impairment, and he's amazing.
Where's he at now?
He's still there.
Still there. Okay, great.
He's a legend there.
Well, I know one of the things that you were one of the renovations they did at the clubhouse was the golf shop had the best view.
It did.
And now it has a view probably that's appropriate of the parking lot more, and correct. The arrival and the restaurant has the best view, which kind of makes sense.
You nailed it.
A lot more sense, actually.
Yeah. So Ryan at the time, they had hired a GM, and he wanted to report to the GM, not to me anymore, which was fine. And then that GM came and gone, and they went to go search for the next GM. And at the time, Ryan was like, "What are we going to do?" And I don't know. Hopefully, they find a good GM. And he takes me out. I remember driving down 18th hole at Snoqualmie Ridge, and then all the way out to at the time that was 14 and 16 area and all that. Mm-hmm. And he stops and he looks at me and he goes, "You're applying for this job, right?" I'm like, "No,
wasn't planning on it."
No, and he goes, "You should." And that to me just was so impactful. Here's this individual that didn't want to work necessarily directly with me, because I think it just was a different time, and here he is trying to convince me to take the GM job. And our friendship has beyond blossomed ever since, and what a great individual. And he convinced me to take it on. And funny story, how it all comes full circle is Jim Oliver, who got me the job at La Costa, left invited, and was now the COO of Arcus Golf.
Okay.
I went to go apply. That's who I was interviewing with. And so just a fascinating change of events and stuff, which was great.